Hey everybody, Rob Wargill, your favorite silencer nut job, and in today's video we're going to talk about how the internet got it wrong. Now, you've noticed so far I'm not into high production quality B-roll sexy stuff. I'm really just into the transference of knowledge. After a career in the military with 10 years as an infantry rifleman and as a combat instructor, followed by a private military instructor, followed by advanced sniper certifications and blah blah blah, teaching is what I do for a living. I do this every single day, and I'm not really interested in the flashy content. I'm much more interested in giving you the best information for suppressors so you can make the best purchases with your money and the most informed decisions as it pertains to what suppressor is right for you and what the internet maybe is misguiding us to about suppressors. Let's start by debunking a couple internet myths. As always, guys, make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe. It's a small community, but it's a growing community, just like this channel. So anything you do in the comment section, especially when you subscribe or share with a buddy, it really does go a long way. Without wasting any time, let's get into it. Today's primary sponsor is Suppressor Tools. Now, this guy is not just a good person to do business with, and I always look for companies I enjoy working with, and I have to tell you, this is one of them. But also, he's come up with a bunch of great solutions to problems that we suppressor owners have, like all the different weird tools you have to have. He's found ways to combine a bunch of them. So shout out to Suppressor Tools. Feel free to check them out. Suppressors reduce accuracy. This is not true. Now, it used to be true a long time ago when we used to use wipes, and that was like a really bad system, but it was our learning into suppressors. It worked for that time, and we've evolved a long way since. That's kind of like saying it takes a room full of computers to launch a rocket. Our iPhones could pretty much launch a rocket now. So we've come a long way. We just need to update our information and make sure we're getting it from a good source. Our suppressors do not reduce our accuracy, nor do they reduce our velocity. In fact, most often they increase our velocity, if anything. So that is completely untrue. Titanium isn't always better. Now, the internet will say that, and I'll often say I prefer titanium, but that's for my application. And my application might be different than your application. Lighter is better on almost every weapon system I can think of. And people would argue with me about a bull barrel and more accuracy and all that. And once upon a time that was true, but there are plenty of rifles with hunting contour barrels that are crazy accurate. So let's debunk the bull barrel thing. Certain applications, hang on to it. Many applications, you can get rid of it. The same thing goes for titanium. I prefer titanium because I'm not doing a lot of shooting at night, and I am now a civilian. I'm not a private military contractor anymore, so there's no need for me to worry about a two-way range. It's just for my hobby, and it's just for training, and it's just for hunting. It is not for gunfighting. My gunfighter belt is hung. I am done gunfighting for a living. So I don't really care how much muzzle flash it has as it pertains to the enemy observing my location. I care a little bit about it having a reduced muzzle flash, so it's still pleasant for me to shoot even in low light or no light. Even a titanium silencer will do a great job compared to no silencer, but some of the other metalloids will do even better because they're more designed to absorb that concussion as it pertains to muzzle flash. Also, high schedule of fire. If you're a high schedule of fire shooter, titanium, nowadays, you can get away with a lot, but if that's your thing and you're an FRT guy or a machine gun guy, it might be better for you to have one of the different metals. Flow through isn't always better. Now, the internet might suggest otherwise, and I love reduced back pressure suppressors. However, there is plenty of applications where you don't want to have a flow through suppressor. For example, subsonic ammunition. When you're using a 300 Blackout and you're using subsonic, that system was really designed to have a suppressor. Why else would you shoot 300 Blackout subsonic? So it's designed to allow that suppressor to increase the back pressure to the operating system to keep the weapon reliable even while shooting subsonic. And there are many other weapons that follow suit with the same analogy. Quiet doesn't always mean best. Now, a lot of guys are sound decibel chasers or human experience sound chasers. I personally like the human experience aspect of suppressors. So I like testing back pressure and sound performance as it pertains to the shooter, not the machine and how many decibels it reads from the different positions you might put that machine. I'm more interested in how it feels to me as the shooter when I compare suppressors side by side. So for me, I like lightweight, I like reduced back pressure, and I like pleasant sounding. The order is going to be dictated by you, but quite simply saying the quietest is the best, it just isn't true. Look for the quietest in class of what your needs are for your specific engagements. Barrel length matters a lot more than you think. Now, on the internet, they would say, oh, no barrel length restrictions, often. And if you go to the manufacturer's website, you might find that sometimes that's not true. And if you say, well, it's full auto rated at 16, so therefore it must be okay at 11, not true. The difference between 16 and 11 isn't just 5 inches or 4.5 inches if you're going to talk 11.5 versus 16. It's a massive concussive difference between the explosion that needs to be contained at the end of a 16-inch gun versus that of an 11.5-inch gun. So if this manufacturer says it's full auto rated for 16, then you need to keep it to 16 or longer. And if you go shorter, even for short bursts, you might lose that suppressor in today's engagements. Plenty of the time, manufacturers do overrate their stuff just to cover their butt legally, and I totally get that. It's a wise thing to do. But if you say full auto rated, no barrel length restrictions, and then somebody puts it on a 7-inch whatever and runs a couple mags and it pops, they have to replace that silencer. So that's why a lot of the times they'll kind of overquote or underquote what their suppressor can do just to play things safe. But do keep in mind, barrel length does matter in its specific caliber. So be careful when mixing those around and testing with your silencer. First round pop phenomena. It's not really a phenomena anymore. And you can argue over whether the logic exists or not, but quite simply, there's oxygen inside your suppressor. And when the gases burn up that oxygen on your very first round, your suppressor often will sound a little bit louder on the first round than it will in the second round. And it will get progressively quieter. Some suppressors are okay on the first, really good on the second, and then just amazing after that. The better silencers of today don't have any first round pop. They sound as good on shot 1 as they do on shot 5. But that's an important thing to test for. And that's why these days, a lot of the silencer testing I do now, I'll do single shots. And you'll say, well, wait a minute, what about first round pop? A good suppressor shouldn't have a first round pop, in my opinion. Because if you get two silencers and they cost the same, they weigh the same, they behave the same, but one has first round pop and the other one doesn't, well, quite obviously, we should consider that and toss this guy out and go with the one that sounds good on shot 1, not good on shot 2 and 3. Because a good deer hunt should be one shot. Decibel readers lie. Now, this is going to be unpopular and people are going to disagree with me, but I can show you countless examples where I think the guys who did it best is Thunder Beast Sound Summit. They used all this uniform system with uniform testers who are non-biased, and they brought a ton of people out there and they let everyone rotate through the exact same equipment in the exact same location. So the fairest test that's ever been done, in my opinion, has been done by Thunder Beast, called their Sound Summit. I believe they've already done it 2 or 3 times already. Definitely, if you're a numbers hound, that's where you want to go. You can download the spreadsheet for free. They don't charge. It's just good information if you're a meter hound. I'm a human experience hound. So I like looking at those numbers and saying LEQ weighted is kind of the best closest to shooter's experience. So I'll look for the best LEQ weighteds and I'll reach out to those manufacturers for testing. And then when I test them, I'll find those are the best performers. But then I'll find ones that did really good here, but don't do good to the human experience as compared to the other ones that did, okay on that test. So quite simply what I'm saying is decibel reading is one of many metrics that is worth paying attention to. But personally, I feel that the information is just not as useful as shooting them side by side. The problem is, in order to shoot them side by side, you have to have 300 silencers and identical weapons to do the side by side test. Well, fortunately, you found the channel. I have all of that. So stay tuned, make sure you subscribe. There's a lot more testing to come. And this is with me behind the same 2 guns, the same ammunition, and buddies rotating through different positions. This allows us to hear the weapon from 30 feet away, from behind the gun, from directly behind the gun, from even downrange. We've got some ranges that have cutouts where you can be recessed within the earth and listen to the round passed over and then listen to the thump of the rifle going off shortly after. So I'm very intrigued in human experience and I love sharing this, but I will tell you, decibel readers are a metric. I just don't find them to be the best metric. And while I do have access to a sound meter, I don't want to. It's not interesting to me. It feels like a big waste of time and it slows down production by a ton. And it's really hard to keep it constantly fair. There really isn't a same spot to put that for every situation. It actually changes a little bit per gun, per silencer length. So it's a very problematic thing to stay actually honest with. It's very easy to put your foot on the scale because you like this one better than that one. So be real careful with the decibel reading. And if you're into decibel reading, check out Thunder Beast Sound Summit. They nailed it. This video is also brought to you by T&K Outdoors, not just a good dude, a veteran Marine like myself, but also offering soft goods and now killer suppressors. The perfect suppressor just doesn't exist. And there's plenty of people on the internet saying, this is the best thing ever. And certainly there are great silencers and they have come a long way. So I too will say, oh, this is my best, I love it. And then maybe a month later, this is my new best, or they're tied. Definitely. But there is no perfect suppressor, just like there's no perfect car. You have to buy a car, own it for a year or two, and then go, man, I wish it had third row seating, or man, it doesn't tow well, or it's kind of slow off the line. After you have a car for a year, that's when you truly get to know the car. And that's where on this channel, you'll find a lot of new suppressors I don't talk about. I take my time and I get a couple weeks of testing, so I see that the performance is regular and it's not just a one-off. So I regularly test things a few times over a few days before I even say anything about that suppressor. And even then, there's no perfect suppressor. The perfect suppressor would weigh 2 ounces, it would have no increased back pressure, no muzzle flash, and it would be crazy quiet and super short. That doesn't exist. You have to choose your priorities and what you like more. If you want a super short suppressor, it might not be as quiet as its longer one. If you want a low back pressure suppressor, you can have low back pressure and extremely quiet. I would say some of my quietest suppressors today are in fact low back pressure. So you can have low back pressure and quiet. But if ultra low back pressure is your goal, you might have a harder time finding that quiet. Or if you do, like Strategic Science, for example, great suppressors, great for low back pressure, great for best sounding, but they're kind of heavy and they're kind of expensive. So it's a trade-off. You have to choose what you want and then seek out that suppressor. So on the channel, I'll do a lot of breakdowns into how each one performs in different categories as pertains to back pressure or sound or on a bolt gun or on a gas gun. But there just is no such thing as a perfect suppressor. So if you drop me a comment and say, Rob, recommend me a silencer for this, it's not just the best silencer for that host, it's the best silencer for your circumstance and for your interests. So it's kind of a deeper dive than you think, which is why I end up on the phone with a lot of people as they make those comments, because we have to write essays to each other. I'd really rather just hop on the phone and help you get through what's the best silencer for you. Guys, if you like this content, make sure you hit that like, comment, subscribe. It truly goes a long way for the channel. I appreciate you. Stay safe, and we'll see you in the comments.